So if we're going to grip wax the ski, we already know we're going to grip wax the middle of the ski. Lots of skis have marks on the side of them. There's little arrows on the side of this ski. There's 2 back here and there's 3 up here. And if you really want to know where to wax, the best thing to do is to wax really long on the ski with a soft wax. Go up to the top of a big hill and just stand on your skis and run down the hill. Where the wax wears off, that's where you shouldn't have waxed it, because that's on the glide zone. So the bit that's not worn off is the kick zone. And that's a far better way of determining kick zone, grip zone than the 4 different testers that we've got, including this thing. Because you may not stand exactly the same way when you're moving as you will on this test board. So that's the best way. So, if I'm going to grip wax, the first thing I have to do is work out what the temperature is going to be, where I'm skiing. Today was -4. That was its hottest, or something like that. So we're just going to guess that we use special glue, grip waxes, cut down, that's their whole range now. But you as a recreational skier don't need that. All you need is this wax, which is called special red, this one, which is extra blue, and that one, which is green. And that covers all the bases. Slightly above freezing to just below freezing. Just below freezing to about -8. -8 to about -20. After -20, stay inside, stay warm. So I choose the wax for today, and I've chosen extra blue. I'm just going to crayon it on.
That's best done inside.
Best done inside. You can do it outside. So I'm going to crayon it on. And it's going to look like a child's crayoning job. Failed kindergarten, so that's why mine doesn't look so good. And then I'm going to cork it. Synthetic corks work much better than natural corks. Natural corks are much better in wine bottles than plastic stoppers. But for ski waxing, synthetic corks are better because they don't get the wax as hot. And as I cork, I'm not pushing very hard on the wax. I'm just trying to warm it up and smooth it out. And when you're done, it should look like that. So there's no lumps in it. The biggest mistake most people make when they grip wax is they put it on really thick and they have big lumps in it. No lumps. It's got to be like my wife's porridge in the morning. Nice and smooth. And so that is one layer. If I'm getting the pros tell us that for recreational skiing, you should put on 1 layer plus 1 layer for every 10 kilometres you're going to ski. So if you're going to ski out to the far end of the Banff Trail and back, it's 13k, you're going to need 2 layers at least.
So if you end up with lumps, you just keep on corking?
Yeah, it depends how bad the lumps are. If they're really bad, it's sometimes easier just to scrape them off with a scraper and start again. You certainly don't want lumps. The lumps cause more problems than anything. So if I'm going to put on another layer, the second layer is always easier to put on than the first layer. I try to hold the wax really flat on the ski. I'm not rubbing on the edge of it. I'm just holding it as flat as I can. I'm not pushing down on it. And when you get big thick bits like this is where you're going to get the lump. So you just have to work much harder to get that out.
So what does a lump do?
It lets it ice up We'll talk about it in a minute. Go out, you've waxed, you know you chose the road skis, you put your wax on between your wax marks, you go out, the first thing you have to do, it's 22 degrees in here or whatever, minus 10 outside, you can't take this ski out there and throw it on the snow. Because the ski's hot, it will melt the snow for about that long. Then the snow wins, and that little bit of water you've just melted onto the bottom of the ski freezes, and you just have ice on the bottom of the ski. So the first thing you've got to do is let the ski cool to the temperature out to the air temperature. And you'll find that the racers just lie their skis down flat on the snow like that. This bit's not touching the snow because there's no weight on it. And then it cools to the snow temperature really quickly. So you might want to let them cool for a couple of minutes while you put your boots on, do your hair or whatever you have to do, go to the bathroom. And then you start skiing. It takes about 1 kilometre for any wax to work. So if after 1 kilometre you're slipping, I'm sure everybody knows what it feels like, the next thing to do is make the wax pocket longer at the front. You don't have to worry about the back because your weight's never going to go any further back than your heel. But you make it longer, perhaps by 5 centimetres at the front. Crayon it on, cork it, ski another kilometre, still slipping, then make the wax thicker in the original part of the wax pocket. Ski another kilometre. If you're only going 5k, you're nearly done, so you just go home. But if not, then you might have to go to a colder wax or a warmer wax, sort of softer wax. So you go longer, thicker, then you go to the softer wax. But most of us get the wax. The wax is a pretty broad range, so although this says -1 to -7 on it, it'll work in a wider range than that. So you're probably going to be okay if you just fiddle with the length and the thickness of it. If the opposite happens, you took the ski outside, you let it cool, you got on the snow, you started skiing, and suddenly you had this much snow built up under your ski, which happens when you have too soft a wax or if you have lumps in your wax. Then you have to take it off, scrape all that snow off and cork it again. And you probably have to spend a long time corking that part. Once you've got it corked again, the next thing to do, ski another K, well you probably won't get a K, but ski if it builds up again, then you have to scrape all the wax off and start again with a harder wax. And a harder wax is a colder wax, because the wax you used is too soft. Does that make sense? Any questions up to that?
Snow temperature is a lot lower than the air temperature or not? Because we're talking snow temperature or air temperature, what it says on the wax.
You have to be careful because the brands of wax are different. Swix uses air temperature. Toko uses snow temperature. Snow temperature follows air temperature pretty closely. If your daytime air temperature goes like this, the snow temperature will go like that too, but it will have a phase shift, so it will be a little bit later, and the peaks won't be quite as high. So if it gets out here to -15 tonight, the Weather Channel's predicting the snow will probably go to about -13. Might go to -15, depends how cold it gets, how quickly it gets cold.
So a couple of degrees behind?
Yeah, usually it's a couple of degrees behind. The other thing is at the Nordic Centre, if you ski on the man-made snow, snow normally is the little stellar crystal, those little paper cutouts your kids are making and sticking on the windows at school. That look lovely. But at the Nordic Centre that doesn't happen. The man-made snow that comes out of a gun is a little pellet of ice. So it doesn't have the sharp points on it. So you need to use softer wax at the Nordic Centre than you need to use at Peter Lockheed Park for the same temperature. Because Peter Lockheed is all natural snow, it still has sharp points, so a harder wax is necessary. You want the wax to be hard enough that the point of the snow will dig into it when your weight's on it, and as your weight comes off, it'll pull back out. And where you get the lumps and you get the big build-up of snow under your ski is when the snow crystal sticks into the wax, you take your weight off and it still sticks in the wax. So now you have one snow crystal stuck to the ski, and the next step you have two, except instead of having 1 and 2, you have like 1,000 and 2,000 of them. And as soon as you get enough, it builds up. So it's important that you choose fairly accurately.